Do you remember that amount that really shocked you?
Yeah, I will never forget. It was $23,000 in a month. And
Oh, wow.
I was just like, there's a mistake. Like someone made a mistake, but like, I'm not going to reach out to them. Like, I'm not going to say anything because this is cool. Like,
Welcome back to Other People's Lives. I'm Joe Santagato.
I'm Greg Dybec.
For anyone out there that would like to be a guest on our show, don't hesitate to hit us up. Our email is oplpodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, today we're having a super interesting conversation because there's a lot of people out there, probably some people listening, who definitely have hopes and dreams of making it on TikTok, social media, kind of having their craft be discovered and potentially go viral, and then that can create a full-time career in the thing that they do. So today we're speaking to someone that happened to, a singer named Limbo, and she's here to be super open and honest with us about that process and what it was like for her, from going viral to money that was made to being able to become a full-time musician from that virality. So we've got Limbo on, and thank you so much.
thanks for having me. I'm excited to share my TikTok story.
Yeah, no, totally. I think a lot of people find this interesting. Like I said, I think it's something a lot of people are probably actively trying to pursue themselves. But can you just tell us a little bit about yourself prior to the first time your song went viral on TikTok? Where were you in your life? You were an aspiring musician at the time?
Yeah, I just kind of was making music as a hobby still and putting my songs up for fun on the internet while I was working, 3 jobs basically. I tried college and it wasn't for me, so I just stuck to just working at restaurants and doing side gigs. So it wasn't really serious. Like music was never like I'm going to make it big, I'm going to be famous one day. For me, I just kind of loved doing it and created like a little music community on SoundCloud at the time. And I just kind of was coasting for a while.
How are you recording all of these songs also? Are you doing it in your bedroom or you're doing studio time?
Yeah, I've done it in my bedroom. I started recording most of my songs in my car because it was like the place that was like safe and quiet. And then I progressed to my bedroom, and ever since I've just kind of stuck to recording at home.
Cool. And I'm sure people will make sure that your handles and everything are up as well. So people are probably checking it out right now before they continue listening. But can you just describe your music and sort of what your motivation was as a singer?
Yeah, it's what I describe it now is kind of like bedroom pop meets R&B, but I really try to genre bend and like hit everything that I can because I grew up listening to so much different music. And originally I started making music as kind of like a Taylor Swifty, like singer-songwriter, and then started listening to electronic music and taught myself how to produce. And then I just kind of tried to follow that electronic vibe and start the bedroom pop phenomenon.
And I guess before we get to, your viral moment where everything sort of changed, how many songs did you release, do you think, like up until that point?
That's a good question. Probably, I would say I had like maybe 10 or 15 songs at that time that was out. I had like an album, but it wasn't anything serious. But yeah, I was a little bit prepared, I guess.
And how are those songs performing?
They do decently well. When people come to shows, a lot of people mention them, and I'm surprised by that because they're really, really old. But they do decently well. Nothing compared to the viral hit, but enough to
But
make
like
it count.
before the viral like hit, like those were still doing really well?
Yeah. They kind of got enough traction to where I was eventually able to like pay rent and stuff. So I was happy with that. And I was like, this is fine. I'm happy. I can at least pay rent and kind of coast off life.
Oh, so okay. So even before the viral moment, you were making money off of music.
Yeah. Just a little bit, but not enough to like really have a future. Yeah.
Sure. Well, yeah, you did say you were working 3 jobs too.
Yeah.
And were you at the time trying to pursue record labels or kind of go that traditional route with music?
No, not really. I didn't even think I could get the chance to do it because at the time I feel like even the term bedroom pop wasn't really a thing. And no one was talking about people making music like in their rooms at the time. And it was a really like new thing coming up. So in my mind, it was like, there's not even a chance in the world that I would be offered a label deal.
Right. All right. So you're putting the music out, and I guess tell us the kind of origins of this one song in particular, just really taking off. How did it come to your attention, and what does that type of virality look like in the beginning?
Yeah. So at first I uploaded on SoundCloud and, my friends were like, this one is sick. Like this one could go somewhere. And eventually I started getting DMs from people in China actually who were like, hey, your song is really popular over here. And if you ever come over here, like you'll like book huge shows. And I was just kind of like, oh, cool. Like, I don't really know what to do with that information. Like, I don't know why it's big in China, but I'll take it. And then eventually TikTok came to the US and people were using my song on there because originally it was ByteDance in China. And apparently that's where the song took off. And I still to this day have no idea who started that flow for this song in China, but I wish I could shake their hand or give them a hug because it's kind of what like took it over to the US. And then TikTok, like dancers started dancing to it or lip syncing to it or making art to it. And then it just blew up. I mean, as they say, like overnight, it felt like, and I started getting hit up by managers and labels. And it was just like everything all at once, all thanks to TikTok. So.
And when was, first of all, what's the name of the song? And also like, when did you figure out like, oh shit, this is not like a normal growth for my songs. Like this is now a completely different thing. And then what was the moment where you're like, oh my God, this is like a massive song now. Like what were those moments? Like what were those numbers? Like when it crossed like a certain amount, you were like, holy shit, this many people have listened to the song.
Yeah, so the song is called Airplane Mode, and I got lucky because there's two parts of the song that people were using on TikTok, not just like one. And I also got lucky because I produced it, and it's all mine 100%. So that's a huge win for me. But
that's awesome.
Yeah, and the moment I kind of realized that it was going somewhere was when I checked my little bank on my distribution, and because when you put out a song, you have to put it through a distribution company. And so I did it through DistroKid, and it's all self-serving. You pay like $10 a year basically to put out as much music as you want. And
is that what gets it on like say Spotify, but also TikTok or Instagram? Because I was going to ask how it got on TikTok. Okay. So it's just distributed to essentially every platform.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. But originally, I don't think they had a deal with TikTok because when it first went viral, I was like, hey, guys, like my friends, like, do you know what TikTok is? And everyone's like, no, what is TikTok? Like, that sounds like some weird app that's going to phase, and now here we are and everyone's like brain rotted out of their minds. But I started to realize that it was really something magical when I checked my bank statements and like my numbers were just going up from like, hundreds to thousands to like a lot of money that was like unfathomable for me. And the moment.
Do you remember that amount that really shocked you?
Yeah, it was, I will never forget. It was $23,000 in a month. And
wow.
I was just like, there's a mistake. Like someone made a mistake, but like, I'm not going to reach out to them. Like, I'm not going to say anything because this is cool. Like, I'm just going to pocket it and next month we'll see what happens. But the month after it was, I think like 25,000. And I, at that time was like, okay, what do I do? Like, I don't have a manager. I don't have a label. I don't like know too many people in the industry who can help me navigate this. So it was really overwhelming, but very exciting.
So what were the next steps after something like that happens? Like you were saying, all these people hitting you up, like, managers, this and that. Did you eventually take some meetings and get a manager or sign to a label or anything like that?
Yeah. Luckily, one of the gals at TikTok, her name was Mary, God bless her. She was kind of like, hey, I know you're like underground, super indie, and I know some people who could help you navigate this. Like, don't sign anything too quickly. And I'm like, thank God, because I had no idea what to do. But I ended up meeting someone through her, and they kind of paraded me around to all these major labels because I feel like that's protocol, or that's what was protocol when you went viral on TikTok with a song, is they would shop you around to different major labels and kind of ask you what your experience is and what your plans are for music. And so I got a manager really quickly, and I got a lawyer really quickly. But coming from like being independent for so many years before that, I was very stingy with like my music and my money, and was like, I'm not gonna just trust anyone who wants to be a part of the, piece of the pie. So I was very selective.
Well, that's awesome to hear. I feel like that's probably the number one mistake people make when they experience that sort of sudden fame. It's like cash in as much as you can and just maybe not questioning people around you. Because if it's something you've wanted for so long, right? And then all of a sudden these people in the industry are dangling offers and things in front of your face that, maybe you don't know a lot about, or you're not thinking long term, and it's probably in their favor and not yours.
Yeah, exactly. And I had seen it happen to a few of my friends where they've signed, 10-year deals for a certain amount of money, and they get locked in and they're unable to do anything creatively for that 10-year span. And I was so scared of that. And I had, people telling me left and right, like, oh, your life's going to change forever. Like, you're going to be famous now. Like, you're going to own mansions, like literally saying these things to me where I'm just like, this has to be bullshit. Like, you guys are definitely bullshitting me. Like, there's no way, and trying to put these stars in my eyes. But yeah, in the end, I kind of knew better and decided to stay independent. And I turned down a couple label offers that, maybe could have done something amazing, but I'm actually like really happy in hindsight doing that, because I live a really comfortable life, and I'm stoked that I'm not like in somebody's clutches.
Yeah, for sure. And you get to just keep doing what you have been doing. It's just making it out of your bedroom.
Yeah, right, right.
Do you remember one of like the hardest offers to turn down? Like what type of things were they offering you? Is it advances and, promises of a certain number of albums and things like that?
Yeah. There's one that I kind of am always like, what if? But they were a semi-independent label, but they have their own music festival, and a lot of really amazing artists that I look up to are on their label. So that was appealing to me. And they did like artist workshops where they would fly to Sweden for like a couple weeks, and like everyone would get together and like make music together and bounce ideas off of one another. And that was like a huge appeal, and like something I really question sometimes if I should have taken that deal. But that's the one. And of course there's like the major labels where I'm like, wow, like saying that I signed to Universal Records like would have been really cool. But if like deep down, it's not as glamorous and amazing as it sounds.
Yeah. I was going to ask, like, what ultimately, was the reason why you were like, what, I'd rather stay independent. Like, which part of it are you getting from staying independent that kind of stands out that these people can't offer you?
I think a lot of it has to do with like money, honestly, because they offer you, millions of dollars for your one viral hit, and they either own it forever and you never get to see any money off of that ever again, or B, it's basically a loan, the money they're giving you. So you have to basically earn back all of that money through the label as if it's like a bank. And so you're not really getting $1 million. You're really just getting a loan from this label that you have to pay back over time. And for me, I'm like, that's not really worth it. Like, if I want a loan from something, I'll just go to, I'll go get it somewhere else. I don't need to sign my music and like creativity away. And I'm very picky about who I work with and my creative vision. And I've just always been independent and like doing my own thing. So knowing that someone else would be in control of that just kind of really put me off.
This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. Question for you. What is something that you would love to learn as an adult, but you feel like you don't have the time for? Maybe it's a new sport, a new hobby, learning a new language, learning to cook, something like that. I think a lot of us, as we grow up, we kind of lose that curiosity, or we don't allow ourselves the space to learn new things. It's back to school season, and that's a reminder that children are constantly being put in positions that they can learn about themselves, that they can learn just new things about the world around them. And it's sad if that's something that we're not able to carry over into our adult lives. And therapy is an amazing way to reconnect with that sense of wonder, that curiosity, to, look, I guess, into yourself and kind of start learning who you are as a person now and what your interests are as well. And therapy is an amazing way to just make you realize how you can still prioritize yourself, how you can be able to focus throughout your day, throughout your year on things that you want to do for yourself and not always just doing things for other people. One thing for me personally, I think therapy allowed me to get better at setting boundaries. I think there was a period in my life where I would say yes to a lot of things, or I would try to please a lot of other people. And then I would find myself feeling like I had too much on my plate and that I was overwhelmed. And therapy has helped and allowed me to work on myself in that way. And in being able to set these boundaries and being able to say no to the things that I don't actually want to do, I found more time for myself. And I found that I actually was able to open myself up to interests that I had and things that I wanted to learn and things that I wanted to be part of my daily life that prior to that I felt were out of reach. So if you're thinking about starting therapy, I would definitely give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online. So the beauty is it is designed around your schedule. It's super convenient that way. And because it's all online, there's no commute, there's no waiting rooms. You could just kind of set the schedule as you need it. All you do is fill out a brief questionnaire and you will get matched with a professional licensed therapist. And as I always say, one of the best things about BetterHelp is you can switch therapists until you find someone that is truly a great fit for you. So the flexibility of it all just can't be beat. So rediscover your curiosity with BetterHelp. And you can visit betterhelp.com/OPL and you'll get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/OPL, and you'll get 10% off that first month. I'm here to tell you that there is a surefire way to wake up feeling fresh after a night of drinking. Yes, I said it. It's true. It's not magic. Let me tell you how it's possible. It's called ZBiotics Pre-Alcohol Probiotic Drink. And what that is it's the world's first genetically engineered probiotic invented by PhD scientists to tackle those rough mornings after drinking. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, how does this work? How is this possible? So what happens when you drink, that alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in your gut. And it's this specific byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for that rough next day after you've had some drinks. So what pre-alcohol does is it produces an enzyme that breaks this byproduct down. So you see the equation that's forming here, right? If you make ZBiotics your first drink of the night, and of course drink responsibly, then you'll feel your best tomorrow. Every time I use ZBiotics pre-alcohol as my first drink of the night, I noticeably feel better the next day. And I was on the fence about this product when it first got sent to us because it just, seems too good to be true, honestly. But it has helped me just be the most productive version of myself the next day. So I was pretty shocked the first few times that I had it and really woke up the next day ready to jump into action to work, feeling just focused and ready to go from the gym to coming in here to recording, whatever it may be. I've taken this on the basement yard tour with me because there's a lot of late nights, there's a lot of celebrations, some drinks. So I keep that thing on me, the ZBiotics, and it has worked wonders to keep me going on the tour. So if you want to try this out for yourself, just go to zbiotics.com/OPL. You can learn more there and you can get 15% off your first order when you use the code OPL at checkout. Here's the best part. ZBiotics is backed with 100% money back guarantee. So if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they will refund your money, no questions asked. So this is really worth a shot if it's a product that you're interested in. So just head to zbiotics.com/OPL and use code OPL at checkout for 15% off. And shout out to ZBiotics for helping me be the best version of me after a night out. That's really awesome. I think a lot of people hope and think that that would be their stance in this position, but then a lot of stuff, like you said, gets dangled in front of you, or big numbers. And for you to, stay strong and kind of know what you wanted is really cool, because you actually did that. You actually had to turn down offers.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And it was tough. It was tough. I definitely went back and forth with my attorney and was like, are you sure? Like, this seems really good. And he's like, no, this isn't the one for you. And I'm like, all right, on to the next one. And,
do you remember just psychologically just being in that position where you were working 3 jobs, making, like you said, maybe a few $100 from your music, liking what you were doing, but never thinking that there might be a future in it, to all of a sudden this seemingly overnight virality, and now you're being propelled into major label meetings and you have $25,000 coming in monthly? Like, how did you handle that sudden jump?
I mean, it was a big adjustment at first, because I didn't really know what my future was going to look like and what my retirement would even look like, because I was working these tiny restaurant jobs, and I was, always kind of coming home just like crying, because I'm like, I don't know what my future is going to be like. And I don't want to work, at Starbucks for the rest of my life, or Walgreens for the rest of my life. Like, it just felt wrong to me, but I didn't have like another option, because I hated going to school. I hated doing anything that involved sitting down and learning something that I wasn't interested in. And so going from that to then being very comfortable and saying like, oh shit, I have all this money now. Like, what do I do with it? It was like a huge shift, and I kind of had to adjust, but it wasn't like I went from, having everything to nothing. It was like reverse. So I just kind of was trying to be cautious of my spending and saving. And I've always been a good saver. So I just ended up just saving every penny I made, basically.
Nice. And would you say that you've made more money over time as a musician now than what the labels offered you?
Honestly, yeah, because I was able to just put it in my pocket and do whatever I want with it, instead of have to pay someone back over time. So I think the money that I've made personally without having to pay out anyone, because usually you have to pay a certain percentage out too, sort of like interest. But I think the money that I've made myself has almost equated to some of the deal offers I was getting at the start. So
that's awesome.
And now you own all of your songs as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I still get hit up from people all the time being like, hey, we want to purchase your biggest song for this amount of money. And I'm like, dude, I've been through this. Like, I'm not doing it.
That's so interesting. So people are still reaching out to literally purchase one song, or in this case, like airplane mode, people just hit you up with offers.
Yeah, people, I mean, they always claim that they love my discography and they've been through it all. And I'm like, you don't have to say that. Like, I know exactly what you're going for. Yeah. Like, let's not beat around the bush.
How long ago did this happen?
I want to say it was like 2015 or 2016. Okay. That's when like the real magic started happening.
So this has been a while now that you've kind of built a career off of this. And how soon after, the virality of the song did you were able to leverage like a tour or something like that?
Yeah. So basically right when it started doing numbers, I was like, okay, I have to go on tour. Like I felt that in my soul that it was like the prime time to do it. And so I've taught myself everything. So I Googled like how to book your own tour, and I figured it out. And I did like a cross country tour that I booked myself, and had all my friends that I had met in the music community online, like open up for me in different cities. And it was super successful. And like a lot of people came out that I was not expecting. And I just kind of tried to carry that energy as far as I could.
Are you still booking your own tour?
Yeah, here and there. I just went on tour a couple of years ago with my friends, and I'm trying to book another tour next year. But yeah, it's kind of been back and forth. Also, trying to find a booking company to do it for me. But in the end, like I said, I'm very stingy and picky, and I like to do it myself. So
It's awesome.
That's
Sound
really
like
cool.
Joe. In a good way. No, that's really cool. So, wow. So since that time you've only been a full-time musician since then, and there's no plan on stopping that.
yeah, basically, yeah. I've gotten a few like small jobs here and there just for fun, because sometimes I'm like, I have, a creative block and I'm like, I'm not writing music, so I'm just going to go get a part-time job just for fun to get out of the house. And I like, working with kids. So I go work at Boys and Girls Club sometimes. And yeah, I just take like small part-time jobs because I think a part of me misses like the grind and like the hustle that I was so used to. So I like to just, make sure I'm staying humble.
That's awesome.
Do you have any advice for anyone who's listening, who's maybe an aspiring artist and, probably still waiting for that moment for like their life to be changed essentially?
Yeah, I honestly, my biggest advice to anyone trying to do it is just to be like 100% you and like authentic, and like not chase after the rabbit. And as much as the algorithm like wants you to be and do a certain thing, like just go against it as much as you can to try and create something different that people are interested in, rather than just be another thing that people scroll by. It's being more authentic is what will get you noticed, I feel like, in any industry. But yeah.
And do you still recommend social media platforms as a way to market? And how would you suggest someone navigates that? Because I assume like what you experienced, people can try every day for the rest of their lives, and that may never happen. But that doesn't mean that they can't become successful musicians. So how do you sort of balance like the potential of going viral on social media while still using it without just kind of like desperately hoping for that to be your big break?
Totally. Yeah, that's a good question, because I see so many artists, like including some of my friends who are extremely talented, just like trying everything they possibly can to get the viral moment to happen. And like, no matter what, I don't know if it's calculated like that. Like, I think it is based a lot on luck and just someone really big sharing your stuff, or, just, I don't know what makes a viral song viral. I have no idea why people liked my song to begin with. Like, it doesn't make sense to me, because I think that's one of my worst songs. But
wow, it's interesting.
But I think social media can be used in a good way as a tool for marketing. But I think these days also companies are very aware that people are trying this viral hack, and they try to take advantage of artists no matter what. So, Spotify, you have to pay to get in a playlist sometimes, and you have to pay to promote your music anywhere. And it's tricky, but I think someone out there who is a genius at marketing probably knows way more than I do about it. But yeah, it can be used as a tool, but don't put all your eggs in one basket.
If you're anything like me, you have found yourself in a dinner rut. What does that mean? It means that it's hard to come up with new ideas of what to eat for dinner. You feel like you've been having the same thing. You're not satisfied with the dinners you're having. You wish that there could just be something more flavorful, more put together, more professional that you can have without the hassle of spending hours in the kitchen or learning new recipes and trying to do all this yourself. This is why I was so happy when CookUnity became a sponsor of this show and we were able to try their food. And I've been using it every single week since. So with CookUnity, you get an endless variety of restaurant quality food from award-winning chefs delivered to your door. One of my favorite things to do as a New York City resident is go out and eat. Sometimes that feels like all we have, especially when it's cold outside. I love trying new restaurants. I love following chefs' journeys, all of that. A food nerd, call me whatever you want. But CookUnity is able to bring that experience to your home. And of course, it's a fraction of the cost of actually going out to great restaurants to eat. And CookUnity has over 350 meals that you can choose from, and dozens of chefs offering a wide variety of cuisines. So I made a list, I made a note of some of the things that I've eaten over the past couple of months. And these were standout dishes that I will be ordering again. Fried Japanese chicken just blew my mind. Chickpea quinoa salad felt super healthy, super delicious. A chili roasted shrimp, amazing. Chicken shawarma rice bowl. You could see the variety of the meals that they have, all from different chefs that are putting these recipes together. So every single night, it's like, it feels like Christmas to me. It's like, oh, okay, like what do we get to pull out and have tonight? My family loves it too, which is amazing. So if you want something that's easy, effortless, and delicious, then you have to try CookUnity. And you can go to cookunity.com/OPL or enter the code OPL before checkout, and you will get 50% off your first week. 50% off, half off if you want to try this out for a week. I don't think that you'll turn back after you try it. So remember, go to cookunity.com/OPL or enter code OPL before checkout, and you'll get that 50% off your first week. That's 50% off your first week by using code OPL or going to cookunity.com/OPL. Go check that out. You can actually browse their menu before you commit to anything, and you will see what I'm talking about. The variety of dishes will make your mouth water. Go try that out. CookUnity.
And how do you stay positive, and how do you, unless I'm wrong, like not, it feels like you're navigating this kind of in a well-rounded way, I guess, and like clear-headed way, because I would imagine a song like this blows up, has so many more listens than your other songs, and like, is there an insane pressure to follow that up, or nothing is technically successful unless it reaches the heights of that song?
Yeah, after it happened, there were, years of me trying to create something that either sounded like it or like capture the audience that loved that and try to get them to listen to my music more. And I even have songs where I've used like the same instruments that I used in that song and like the same chords that I've used in that song, because I just was trying everything I could to make it happen again. And then I finally came to terms and was like, oh, this was just like a freak accident. And like, there's probably no chance of that ever happening again. And I accepted it and just kind of released things that I liked. And now I'm trying to really just hone in on who I was like before that moment happened, actually, and like just be creatively free and not worry so much about the pressure, because it is like an insane pressure of trying to create something that I can leverage that much, because it changed my life, you know?
Yeah. That's really cool to hear, because trying to replicate that, that's not what got you success in the first place. It was like the advice you gave, just you being you, that then led to that success.
Right. Yeah.
That's cool. I do have one question. So these are I'm just pulling up like the basic public Spotify info. Limbo on Spotify, everyone check it out. 588,000 monthly listeners. I see a few songs with one with over 2 million, one with over 8 million. Airplane Mode has 137 million listens. That's crazy.
That's wild.
So I'm curious, and we appreciate you being so open and honest about the money. And obviously you made it very clear you're not just doing this for money, but I think this is such an important part for artists to hear, aspiring artists to hear, and also just, I think people are genuinely curious. So like a song like that, has that taken off, no pun intended, like so much to the point, like this song will bring in money for life? Like this is like residuals and revenue for you forever? Or is there like, I'm trying to like, what is that, inflection point of a song like getting so popular that it kind of just can set you up long-term?
Yeah. I mean, no matter what, there's always this fear that one day no one's going to listen to it, or everyone's going to forget about the song and I will get $0 off of it. And that's fine. I'll just have to work around it. But over the years, it's definitely slowed down. So it's not like I'm still making $25,000. Like that was just a really good like year for me that kind of was happening. And as soon as it did start going down, I then was like really stressing out on, okay, how do I create more stuff like that? And I don't know. I just I kind of just hope and will that it has its moments because sometimes TikTok, all of a sudden it'll go viral again. Like last year it had a little blip and I started getting way more listeners, way more followers just out of nowhere. It's almost like people remembered the song existed because it happened so long ago, and they started sharing it with their friends again and started listening to it and making TikToks again. So whenever those blips happen, I get a bunch of emails, like it's like a database somewhere that shows that my song is doing well. And so the labels start hitting me up again. The managers start hitting me up again.
Funny. They start swarming.
Yeah, it's really bizarre. And I don't know. I mean, I have no idea where I exist in that database, but I'm so curious as to like what kind of information they get. But yeah, I don't know if people listen to the song forever because, I mean, like I said, to me, it's not my best song. So I just kind of have to keep pushing myself to release really good music and hope that people stick around for the ride. Because, I mean, at this point, I have albums and albums and albums and EPs and singles, and I have like over 100 songs on Spotify that I wish and hope people dig into, because I think that's where the good stuff is.
And speaking of new music, is there any new music on the horizon that you want to let people know, or just if you've dropped something recently? But yeah, is there anything for people to sort of like look forward to, or are you kind of keeping that under wraps for now?
Yeah. I kind of have slowed my roll on releasing music because a couple years ago I like technically quote unquote quit and was like, I'm done. I like made this really dramatic video of me like burying the cat mask because I wear a cat mask. I'm anonymous. Like I don't show my face at all on the internet. And so I made this video of me like burying the cat mask and was like, thank you for everything. And it was very dramatic. And now that I look back, I'm like, wow, that was so cringe of me. Like, why did I do that?
Was that like a marketing ploy, or did you really want to quit?
Yeah, no, I really did want to quit, but I don't know if it was just because I was like having a mental breakdown and was like, I think if I quit music, I'll feel better. But I definitely didn't. And like a year after, my friend was like, hey, do you want to go on this national tour with me? And he had no idea that I quit. And I was like, yeah, actually, I don't want to turn this down. So yeah, I'm going to do it. And
go back in the backyard and dig up the cat mask.
yeah, basically. And everyone's like, whoa, you're back? Like, this is crazy. So I just went back on tour and started up again. But anyway, I do have some music coming out here and there. I'm just kind of slowly but surely taking my time with it now. But
well, it's awesome to hear that you're clearly trying to put your mental health first. And, you mentioned a breakdown and we kind of alluded to it before, but I just can't imagine the pressures of this happening. Like, I think people don't realize sort of like the confines of success, or then trying to replicate something that was very successful and make a long-term career out of it. And it's, a lot of weight on a person and a lot to navigate, with no experience in this. So it's good to hear that you're really consciously approaching this in a way that it seems like will best suit you for the long term. So that's refreshing to hear. And I think just like important for anyone aspiring in any industry like this, where they're kind of counting their wins and losses based on whatever it may be, downloads, views, and, the perception of others. I think that's really important.
Yeah, totally. Thank you. I appreciate that. Because it's tricky kind of navigating it. I'm sure you guys are familiar with the feeling. It's like, oh God, like, what do I do? How do I keep up? But yeah, having your priorities straight really helps keep things even keel.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah. It's also nice to know, like, especially in your situation where you're kind of like, I am in control of this. Like, if to have a breakdown when you aren't in control and it's like, I still have all this money to pay back, like, just would make it so much worse. But to know that you're kind of in control of your destiny in a way and you own everything, that must be comforting.
Yeah, totally. That actually probably that's a great point that I never really thought about. I'm like, that's probably subconscious, is that I was like, okay, I have control of this. I can take a break when I want. I can end it when I want. And yeah, that was a huge part of why I chose to stay independent. So that's very true.
Very cool. My very last question. How old are you?
I'm 31.
Nice.
Okay.
Well, don't say it like that. We're over 30 too.
Yeah. I'm 32, so we're fine.
Nice.
I've been at this for a long time. I started this project when I was 21, so this is like my 10-year anniversary.
Oh, congrats.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Thanks.
Well, listen, thank you so much for coming on and telling us about your story. I mean, it's really interesting to see, kind of like that story, like what could happen to people, which is probably more of like the common way that people get discovered nowadays is something goes viral and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, how do I deal with all of this? So hearing, a firsthand experience of that is really cool. So we appreciate you coming on and telling your story.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys. I'm a really big fan of y'all. So I was shooting my shot with my email out to you guys. So I'm stoked we got to chat.
Thank you. And I know you hate it, but Airplane Mode's a banger, and I'm excited to dig into the rest of your songs after this too. And everyone listening should check that out.
Thanks, dude. Thank you so much.
No problem. Have a great day.
Have a good one.
Thanks. You guys too.
That's cool.
It is. I think she is the right person to tell that story because, like you said, I know someone who works at TikTok in the music division, and I guess without giving away too much, and I don't know too much, but like they are actively trying to break artists. They are actively
100%.
putting their power behind songs to go like they essentially want to become a record label and be the one. So you're right. Like as crazy as like sudden virality can be, that is sort of becoming the path now, and it is happening to more people than it's ever happened to. And you can get someone that happens to, and they could be the type of person to pretend like they knew all along or be like, of course there's a formula and I did this, and it's like, no, you didn't. Like this just happened, or the powers that be kind of pushed it. Like the acceptance she has of like, okay, this happened. This was probably a freak accident. Like, yes, I give myself credit because I've been making music and doing this and it's so important to have a back catalog for when something does pop off. I know we always talk about that. Then people can kind of discover the rest of your work. But like we said, it's just cool how she's approaching this, trying to put her mental health first and not get just overly consumed by this like viral moment. And then I think a lot of people that can just send them into a tailspin or just make them feel like not worthy if they can't replicate it. So it was important. I think a lot of stuff she said was just really important for anyone who wants this to happen to them.
Right. I think that, it's what she said is very important of like being as authentic as possible. And she kind of described it too of like, what I imagine anyone who goes viral, whether it be music or anything else, is feeling after that is something goes viral and you're like, okay, this is why people like me. This is what people, like, this is what works, whatever. And then you convince yourself, now I know how to do that. Mm-hmm. But that's not true. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like so now it's
okay.
You've just like without signing to a label, you've given up creative control because now you're allowing the comments and the likes control your creative output. So like once you go viral, it's like, okay, that's the thing that works. Now you're forgetting, I'm not trying to make a good song. I'm just trying to hit that number. And it completely changes your whole shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why I always give this example when I say this to people. There was a girl who I saw a video, she went viral because she like dipped a stick of butter in ragu and ate it. And then her shit was just like Butter Girl, and all her videos are her eating fucking butter because that shit went viral. And like I'm sure it like works out for her, and like she's built a platform and like whatever. But that's why I tell people like be careful about the shit that you put out, because if you do go viral for it, like is that going to be the thing that you're going to do for the rest of time? Because if you just have a shtick only lasts so long.
Right.
But you have to be an entity. Like people have to like you because you're making something.
Right.
And like only you can make that. So once you start looking at numbers, you start looking at, okay, I'm just trying to replicate that. I'm going to use the same instruments, the same chords. I'm trying to, whatever, because that to me now, this is now my measure of success. Not me making a good song, me making a song that is accepted by this
or
many
a song
people.
that I like.
Or
it's
a song
so
that you
funny
like.
to hear that.
Yeah.
Like that's my worst song. Or like Radiohead refused to play Creep for 15 years because they hated the song. Like it's so, there's something to be said about that where, if like the thing that you like least could be the thing that gets you to the place you want to go. And it's like, are you going to chase that, or are you going to step back and be like, oh, like what got me here in the first place? Just making the things that I like.
Yeah. Like if you're trying to replicate something like that. And also if you're just being an authentic person and you're putting things out, I like this stuff, I just like putting them out, blah, blah, blah. There's no pressure there because not a lot of people are watching. And all of a sudden you go viral. You still like, it's hard, obviously, but you have to like do that. I mean, I did the same shit where I'm like, you fucking idiots, internet part 408, people at Walmart, all this shit. Like, you do those things because it's appeasing people, but you also in between that have to do shit for you and also know like, okay, what is my direction here? Am I going to move to LA and just become somebody who everyone has seen before already? Or am I just going to do the things that I want to do? I think especially when it comes to music, if anything, especially when it comes to music, that is important because everyone sounds like everybody, but there's only one you. Like if you're going viral and you're creating a fan base because of music that you're making and that you like, you don't have to try to be anybody else. You know what I mean? Like you're trying to be fucking Post Malone tomorrow, but you don't need to be him tomorrow. Like you could be him in 10 years. And when you get there in 10 years, you're just like, I have a dedicated fan base rather than being Post Malone tomorrow because of a couple of viral songs gets you money and status for a certain amount of time, but there's no authenticity.
And that fall off is
that's why people fall off because there's no authenticity. It's like I'm trying to replicate this thing, but eventually that shit gets tired. No one gives a fuck anymore.
Yeah.
So you just come straight down because you're like, I don't even know how to be the authentic part that I was being before I even got to this point. Yeah. So it's important to do that. And it's cool to hear, her experience with that of feeling like, oh shit, I got to do this, but then eventually just kind of being like, man, I'm just going to focus on me and do my own thing, go at my own pace, and just like keep myself happy. The girl's making money and making a living off of making music, which was the goal. Like that's the goal, and she's living the goal. So that's a
awesome.
win.
And her willpower to just do it the way she wanted, and she probably turned down. She said they make you offers for millions of dollars, but like those people that immediately swarm when there's a hint of success probably don't have your best interest in mind. They probably have their own.
Of course.
So it's like so important to stop and think and avoid those horror stories. And like, I know that's something you've done for so long too, is it's not like not collaborating or working with people, but it's knowing like 99% of the people they just don't have my best interest in mind. So even though most people chase that like traditional route, I need a record label, I need an advance, I need this. And then they end up with shit, honestly, or unhappy or just talking about how bad that deal was, but they've learned the hard way.
Yeah. And that's why you see a lot of artists talking about other artists saying like, they're not as rich as you think because it's like they have an advance, they're spending an advance money, but that money's not theirs. They have to give it back one day. Like, and if they can't give it back, it's like the fall off is crazy. So like, just be careful out there, peeps.
Yeah.
It's better to like own all your stuff, go at your own pace. Like you said, you don't have to be the most successful person in the world tomorrow. Like you could build an actual fan base, get some leverage, then people will have your best interest in mind because they don't have a choice. You hold all the cards. When you have one viral song, people can promise you the world and be like, I can change your life. I can make you like this and this. But if you have all these years of experience in an actual fan base, no one can tell you shit. You could be like, I don't need your money. So what else do you have? And they have to have your best interest in mind. You'd be like, bro, I don't need the advance. I don't need the money. What else can you offer me? And you also give me more than whatever. You want to change my life? Change my fucking life, dude. All right. But yeah, for anyone out there that wants to be a guest on our podcast, hit us up. Our email is oplpodcast@gmail.com. Just send us your story and we'll get back to you.
Yeah. Follow us on TikTok and Instagram at OPL Podcast. You could support the show at patreon.com/OPL show. And that is all for this week.
See you guys next time.